Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to try to take a look at activity 2.1.4 to see if we can make this multi-view setup in a drawing file of these three blocks as an assembly and the exploded view with the parts list. This is new to me, so forgive me if I figure it out as we go. As my skills improve, we will make you a better video. I learned what I was looking for today by watching this video. This is Lars, can't quite remember his last name, Lars Christensen, Fusion 360 tutorial, get a grip on components, bodies, and assemblies. Very well done, especially if you are a former Inventor user. Okay, so we're going to look at these guys. I am going to make them with random dimensions, and you can be more specific on yours. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is stretch this out so it fits inside Screencast. So I am in Fusion. I just opened it. I'm on an untitled part here. There's nothing going on. I'm in Design. So the first thing I want to do is come over here to where it says Unsaved. Right click and click New Component. Rather than going directly to a sketch, we went to a new component. And the reason being, as I watched from his video, is that the components can be separated in an assembly file to make an exploded view and a parts list. So I'm going to create a sketch. I pick the XY plane. I'm going to use a 2-point rectangle to make that bottom block with the arch on it. The blue highlighted one will take the dimensions, so 2.25. I'm going to use tab on my keyboard to get down to the bottom, and I'll do 2.5. I think I wanted that left side to be a little smaller. 1.5. There you go, a little smaller. So tab to toggle in between dimensions. And again, I'm making these up as I go. You can use the ones from the assignment. I'm going to hit enter so it takes. If I scroll on my mouse, I can get a little closer. And if I come down here to the little hand, it's called the pan tool, P-A-N. I can drag the whole grid around without interfering with my objects. Hit escape to get out of that function. I'm going to pick a center diameter circle, the most common one. I'm just going to find the center point here. A little triangle pops up. I can drag this, and I want to make it 1.5. That looks good. So I'm starting to see what would look like the arch here. I'm going to use the modify tool or the trim tool in the modified panel. Click on the scissors. I'm going to get rid of the bottom of the circle. I can get rid of this part here, but as you'll see in a minute, it doesn't really matter when you go to extrude. I'm going to hit escape on my keyboard. Watch that mouse right there. That mouse will change when you hit escape, and that gets me out of the trim tool. I'm going to hit E on my keyboard, E for extrude. So E. And then I want to move this on an angle just so I can see the extrude happen. So I'm going to come down to the bottom here and click on the orbit tool. Orbit brings up this atom look, and I can rotate. Hit escape on my keyboard to get out of that. You could also use the view cube to rotate around. You just click it, left click it, and drag it. Gives you a nice view. You can click on the corners to be more precise. So now we're going to click the profile we want to extrude. If I click the bottom one, I'm only going to have this, and that rectangle part would disappear. Put that back. If I click both of them, I'm going to have a rectangle, and I will not see that arc anymore. I'm going to go back, and I only want to pick the undo. Hit E, I had to undo, so I click them both. Just click the top part. And I'm going to make it negative 1.5 so it can go backwards. It does not matter for what we're making. There you go. Hit enter to finish. I'm going to scroll on my mouse wheel, use my pan tool, get it in front of me. So I'm ready for the next part. Come come back up to the top here, and I will save this and put a name on it. I'm going to right click, put new component. And you'll see we have component 2 underneath here. I'm going to get my new sketch, and I'm going to click on the top here. I know I'm on the top even though it doesn't look like it, because when I go to my view cube, it says the word top. So I know I'm working right on top of it, and that's good. So I'm going to take the rectangle tool, get into the corner, and I'm just going to drag it to the center. Whenever you see a dashed line come up, you know you're in the center. Same thing for the other side. Triangle, as I pull back, when I see 2 dashes, then I know I'm right in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and click there. And then I'm going to hit E for extrude. Again, I'm not using the exact dimensions for the lesson. I just wanted to give you the idea of how to approach this. So when I've hit extrude, I want to come over and select, because it lets you choose. You could choose this side and make that L-shape extrude, but I'm going to choose the tall block. And you can drag. I'm going to rotate a little using the orbit tool so we can get an idea what it looks like. Right, we want to make that pretty tall. I'm going to hit escape, and you have the little marking menu that comes up here. And I'm going to make that 2.5. I think that will make it look at a little close to what you're doing. Hit enter. Okay, same thing. Come back up to the top here where it says unsaved, and I want to click right click new component. And then I'm going to create a new sketch also on top of that first one. And I know I'm on the top even though it looks like it just flipped around because it says top right there. Scroll a little closer. You can see the lines where the arc goes through. I'm going to get the 2-point rectangle tool, and same as earlier, but now we're going to do it over here. Just click, and left click again, and all I'm doing is lining it up. Might be easier to go from the origin that way. I'm just lining it up with the other one. And then I want to hit extrude. Escape on my keyboard to get rid of the rectangle, and then extrude, which is E on your keyboard. I'm going to get my orbit tool down on the bottom here, and then I just left click and it lets me rotate so I can see it. Use my mouse wheel to zoom in and out. Escape on my keyboard. Oh, it looks like I escaped out of my extrude. I apologize. Hit E to get back in there. I'm going to click on the part we just made, drag it up a little bit to look at it. I want that to be 1, so it's a little smaller than the other side. Now I know you have a triangle on yours, so we're going to make this look a little bit like that. Hit enter to complete that extrude. And I want to right click right on the front face of this square. Right click, create sketch. We're going to use a line tool to cut that triangle out of there. So top left, line tool, start at the origin. I'm going to click and go straight across and click. Now it looks to you like a closed profile, but Fusion doesn't know that. So I'm going to go click again and come across, and I'm going to click again and come across. And the difference is you see those black dots populate. So once you see those, you've got a closed profile. So I'm going to escape out of that line tool so I see my mouse is back to normal, and then I hit E for extrude. I'm going to rotate this by using the orbit tool a little bit so you can see better. And then when I click here, it wants to come out towards me and be thick and hang over, but if I go the other way and just drag it, once you see red, you've got to cut. You can also see that over here. You can also type it in and be very specific, but as long as it disappears for me, that's all I need. So click OK. And there we go. Starting to look like what you want it to see. I hit the home button. And then I'm going to click the unsaved black dot so I activate the entire object. So starting to look like what we're trying to do. Okay, next part is to, let's save this. Let's give it a name. I'm going to hit the save button, call this block 1. and hit save. You can call it whatever makes you happy. Hit save. Okay. Next part, we're going to make a drawing file. So you're going to go to Design, Drawing, from Design, and then I think I'll go with a B sheet size because it's large, 11 by 17. But you could choose A or whatever you want. But I'm going to choose B so I have a nice big space to work with. It really all depends on how you're going to print it in your class. Sorry, I have a little background noise. Okay, and now I want to go to, I'm just going to wait for this. It's crashing a little bit. Okay, so it automatically comes up with your part in there, a little tiny. So I didn't click anything yet. It's just there. I'm going to change my scale here. You can just type in 1 or open it and click 1 to 1. That looks a little better. That looks like the front view. It says it's the front view over here. So I'm just going to left click and then hit enter or click OK. Come up to the top here, it lets you do projected view. Click projected. I'm going to click on the object. Mine has a little delay. Drag up so I see that top view. Drag to the right so I see that isometric view. And then come back down to get the right side view. Now here's where most people get stuck. I'm not clicking anywhere, but I want to right click anywhere on the page. I usually try to go in the center, it doesn't really matter. Just right click anywhere else and click OK. Otherwise it'll give you a duplicate. Now these don't look so great, so I'm going to click on the first one I did, find that center square, and drag it down. You see how it brings its other one with it? It'll update. I have a little lag on my computer. So that's a little bit better. You can come over a little bit. And I could probably change the scale and make them a little smaller, but they're good for what we're doing. There you go. Come down a little bit. Okay. So now we have our isometric top, front, and right side views. They'll need to be dimensions, and you can do that by clicking the dimension tool up at the top. We're not trying to dimension all of it because it is an assembly of 3 separate parts. We want to show the overall width, height, and then this one will give me depth. There we go. And we can play with adding more and changing that font size. But for now, we'll keep this like this. If you want to update hit escape on your keyboard. If you want to update your title block, just double click any one of the lines, and then you can click in the fields and change your whatever you've got in there. To insert a picture, you just click insert up here, pick a picture from your own files, drop it in a nice corner, and then you play with this dialog box. You change the scale. I think this will be a little better. For some reason it always slows my computer down a little bit. You can change the rotation, and I like this part, the y-axis, move it over, and the x-axis, get it in the center there. There you go. Okay, so this is partially done. We need to add that exploded view, and that's going to be the little tricky part. So let me go back. If you look on the top here, you're in a drawing sheet. You want to go back to your design. I'm just clicking the tab up on the top. Your drawing sheets to the right, design sheets to the left. Now, instead of being in design, we want to change it to animation. So when we first made it, we were in design. Then we changed it to a drawing sheet. Now I want to go to animation. Click animation. And I'm going to use the pan tool, the hand, to get this up in front of me. I'm going to scroll on my mouse wheel to make it a little bit smaller so we can see it. And you do whatever is the best view for you to work with. I'm going to hit escape. For some reason this does slow my computer down a little bit, but it should work. Okay, we're going to go up to transform, and we're going to look for manual explode. After we get there, let's move this marking menu, which is directly on our object, so not helpful. I'll put it over here. We're going to click the triangle. I'm going to click that arrow away, and then use the slider to move it over a little bit. It is very sensitive. Mine likes to freeze. And you want the trail line visibility on. And I can't really see the difference right here on the menu, but I can see that it disappears. We want it on. So let's go in and click OK when we're done. I'm going to rotate this just a little bit in front of us so we can see better. A little smaller, escape. Okay, let's do just one more. There is an auto explode function. Sometimes I cannot get it to work without crashing, so I'm going to skip it. I'm going to do manual explode. You can also use E, just like extrusion on your when you're making a sketch. Manual explode. And this time we want to hit up. It automatically selected the last thing I used. And then I'm going to click on the other one, the rectangle, the tall bar, and click up also so that they can both move. We'll move this marking menu out of the way. I'm going to slide it over just a little bit. Oh, too much. And click on the trail line visibility to get them both on there. Click OK. And if you don't like the way your trail line came out, you can drag it. So the arrows that pop up when you're done are just for the lines. They're not going to move your object. If you want to move your object again, you can play with them down here, or you can undo, redo. So that's it for that one. Now we're going to go back to our drawing board. Give this a quick save. And go back to our drawing sheet. There we go. We want to bring in that part that we just did. We have a warning that some changes have been done, and we have an update here. There's a link back there. It looks like a hyperlink. I want to click here and update your drawing. Once you've done that, you'll see it. So if you come over here to base view and click on it, my computer's getting slow now. Come over to representation and you'll see it says model. If you bring in the model, you'll be bringing in what you made initially. And now you want to drop down so you can bring in your storyboard. If you don't see storyboard populating, try updating this link or going back to the exploded view we just made and making sure you've saved it. So once all that happens, you'll find storyboard, and hopefully your computer will handle this little animation and then you'll be good. So now I can just left click if I'm happy where it is, and I can change my scale, I can change the shading. There's so much I can do. I'm going to keep it shaded for now. It looks nice. Click OK. There you go. So now, this one, isometric on a multi-view, should always be colored. I'm going to double click it and just click the shading because I didn't add color to the actual object. And then I'm going to click close. And that'll be the main file, and everything else is the top view, the front view, the side view. And now we have the exploded view. Okay, so a few things we're going to do here. Move it over a little bit. Not do too much. And then hit escape. We're going to use a balloon up on top here in the table panel. Click on balloon. And we're going to click. I'm going to drag. You always want these on an angle. I'm going to click. And we're going to drag. We're going to click. And we're going to drag. Now, did you notice that I clicked this one first and it gave me a 2? And I clicked this one second and it gave me a 3. And I clicked this one third, but it gave me a 1. So why is that? Well, because we made this one first. We made this one second. We made this one third. That matters. You can move them if you need to, but the order that they were created is the order they'll be in the parts list. Or should I say the order that they're inserted in case you're inserting them from elsewhere. But that's the basic part of it. If they don't let you put a balloon on it and they say that the component is not available, you may have made it a body, and you just have to go back and make sure that you've done each one with the right click create component when you were first making them. Last thing we're going to do is the table, which gives us our parts. So we're going to use this one. You have to select it. And then it gives you a blank table, so you can place it where you like. I'm going to drop it right on top of our title box. And it gives me a list of component 1, 2, and 3. Had I named them as I went, it would say their actual names. It would say the arch, the triangle, and the rectangle. I'm going to use my pan tool to move it around. I'm going to get this guy to come up. Might just want to change the scale and make this smaller, but let's see if we can just get it off that parts list. And then we're done. And you did a great job. So that's the basics of it. I hope that wasn't too long for you to watch, and I hope that helps. Thank you.